Americans held hostage behind enemy lines. Day 111.
Welcome to Hannity. This news breaking Friday night. It is now day 111. That's right. Since Joe Biden abandoned our fellow Americans trapped in Afghanistan, including military families, hundreds of them, thousands of green card holders, and of course, our Afghan allies, something he said 13 days earlier he'd never do. Joe Biden has turned the page. The mob and the media has turned the page. We will not. We will remind everybody until they are home safely. Now, of course, this is one of many self-inflicted crises that Biden is unwilling, incapable of resolving. Now, breaking earlier, more really bad news for Americans. The November jobs report was a disaster, abysmal, falling way short of every projection. Keep in mind, we are already facing a severe worker shortage in the country. We now have record-setting inflation, a 31-year high. You're now paying on average about $1.50 more a gallon. That's 20, 25, 30 bucks more every time you fill up your tank. We're paying a fortune now to heat and cool our homes, and everything you buy in every store you go to is costing more because of Joe Biden's stagnant growth, and now it is getting worse. But don't take my word for it. Let's look at CNBC. The U.S. economy created far fewer jobs than expected in November, and a sign that hiring started to slow ahead of the new COVID threat. But today, Biden proudly announced that this was, quote, incredible news, and that our economic recovery is going strong. What world are you living in, Joe? Now, I thought Biden promised to shut down the virus, not the economy. What happened? Now, one big problem for Joe is you just can't lie your way out of a crisis. Americans are suffering. Look at the Gallup poll today. We'll get into that in a minute. And the truth be told, it doesn't appear that Joe can do much of anything at this point in his life. He's frail, he's weak, he's confused, he's confounded, he's mumbling, he's a bumbling cognitive mess, and even a simple tree lighting, that became a massive struggle. You can't make this up either. Take a look.
And now, it is my tremendous honor to welcome our literal host, the actual host for this very American celebration, President Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden. We want to do it again. And now, it's my tremendous honor to welcome our real hosts, our literal hosts for this very American celebration, President Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden.
I speak from here.
2 minutes and 19 seconds. Wow. Now, what on earth were they doing? Now, that guy is supposed to be running the most powerful country on earth, and he's supposed to be the leader of the free world. Meanwhile, his second in command, Kamala Harris, is the most unpopular vice president in history, and third in line to be president, well, that's Nancy Pelosi. She's 81. She is the single most powerful person in the House of Representatives, but of course, she's controlled by the real speaker, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, and she, too, meaning Nancy Pelosi, is also a cognitive mess. Take a look at this clip. I don't know how I missed this from a couple of weeks ago, and ask yourself, what is Nancy Pelosi actually trying to say to us? Take a look.
Well, most of the product that we've done is, except now we may have added in the last day or so, and some of what we added is Senate to the bill, like a hearing. Bernie doesn't like hearing. Excuse me, Bernie loves hearing. So we are getting some bird and privilege. I think mostly we're getting privilege scrub, because privilege scrub is deadly to a bill. Birdable, it's important. You have to take it out. We want to be sure that what we send is not birdable or bird bath or privilege scrub. They're the two exercises we're engaged, bathing exercises we're engaged in.
God help this country and the world. I think Nancy may have also been in Washington a bit too long. How is it possible that we now have two of the most powerful people in Washington, both being equally incoherent, both struggling cognitively, and supposedly they're running the country? This is frightening. The two most powerful jobs in America being filled by people who can barely form a cogent sentence. It's scary. And guess what? Every hostile regime, every enemy country, and every hostile actor, they see what we see. And then to make matters worse, Joe Biden is now apparently physically sick with some kind of nasal something going on. Today he can barely speak, and he's been hacking up a lung now for a couple of days. Take a look.
Before I start, I'd like to report that later today I'll be signing a bill funding the government operations for the next few months. Simply put, America's back to work. Since the end of October, the average in partnership with business, with private business and labor, retailers and grocery stores, freight movers and railroads. For example, at the Port of Los Angeles and Long Beach, the two busiest ports in America, and they're ready to meet consumer demand for the holidays. Now, I said that yesterday.
I almost want to put on my mask watching it. Now, we hope Joe feels better and isn't seriously ill. Now, today, Biden assured us that he was not suffering from COVID-19, but told our own Peter Doocy that he picked up a cold from kissing his grandson. Blame the kid. Take a look.
First of all, Mr. President, your voice sounds a little different. Are you okay?
I'm okay. I have a test every day to see a COVID test. They check me for all the strands. What I have is a 1.5-year-old grandson who had a cold, who likes to kiss his pop. And he'd been kissing anyway, so, but it's just a cold.